Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I just wondered if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. But you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and I running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning and welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. 12:30 a.m. WTBC. Also broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube at the handle Martin J. Houston 35, as well as under Twitter Martin Houston 35. Like, follow, share, click to watch, engage, etc. We love to have you interact with us this morning. You can always call us at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That is the Alabama One hotline. It's live, open, and ready to take your call. Justin will get you in. I'm going to bring X in just a moment. And we got a great show lined up for you today. So on the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team, you're going to talk a little, instead of calling it recruiting today, Xavier, we might just change the name from here on out to Roster Management 101 with MaX Recruiting, MaX_recruiting. Is college football broken? True, false. Is college football broken beyond repair? Is it broken beyond repair? That is the question that we are asking you from a true false standpoint today. So let us know your thoughts there. We'll work that into the conversation as well. Lots of people seem to think it is. I don't know if I'm going to get to this today or not, but if you follow me on social, you can probably pick up my tenor and tone. I'm starting to get really frustrated, X, with the transfer portal, and we can't lose this guy, and we can't lose that guy, and oh my God, if that guy man, y'all, if Bama is down to the fact, hey, Caleb Downs is a good ball player. But if Alabama is down to the fact that if a Caleb Downs transfers to Georgia, that Alabama is in trouble, guys, we're in trouble anyway. I want you to think, how many guys have we lost that actually play? X. Everybody's adding all of the guys who left out of the draft. That's always the case. We've always had guys leave for the draft. So that's not new. And that's not unexpected. How many guys have went into the portal that would be playmakers on this year's team? And that's what you need to look at. But even with that said, I'm ready for us to stop giving them so much love and start giving some love to the guys who understand and want to be here. And I do not begrudge the other guys for leaving. That it is one I chose. I chose to come here and I chose to stay here. X, well, let me go ahead and finish the intro, and then I'll come back to that. I want to stay on that. I chose to come here, and I chose to stay here at a critical moment in my life journey. So remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Other things we can talk about, of course, is still talk about this coaching staff and what it means. All of that is still part of the conversation. Upgrade with Wommack and Linguist. Is Alabama still okay? What's your expectations is the question of the day. But X, talking about roster management and all of that. I know some of you saw that Caleb Downs is in the portal and reportedly going to Georgia. And I guess money talks if he ends up there, because no kid from Buford went to Georgia for years, and now they potentially got one. We'll see.
Wait, Caleb's not from Buford, but
That's right. He's not. He's from Georgia, but not from Buford. That's right.
Yeah.
So
he's from Mills Creek.
Yep. And a friend of mine that I work with coached there. Gary Downs put out a statement about main reason for Caleb, the portal, saying things like coaching staff instability. How is it coaching staff instability? This staff right now is more stable than the staff he played for last year. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Saying things like coaching staff instability. My thing is he's going to experience instability in the NFL. Number two, no one brings up the fact being in the trenches with your brothers. It's like that doesn't matter anymore. Anyways, good luck to that young man. I don't know if he's leaving or not. Okay. He may be, he may not be, X. But we call it recruiting. It's now not recruiting. Is roster management. So we have to change our minds around roster management. Real quick before I get you to respond, MHS 0407 said, I wish Nick Saban had waited until the second signing day in February. At least the players would have been in class, so transferring would have been more difficult, but getting the right coach would have been more difficult. I don't know that a coach leaves after the signing. I don't know that we get a Caleb DeBoer to leave Washington if he's that far into this semester. I think that there's a balance to this that Nick Saban had to weigh out. If he waits too long, it is what it is. And here's the thing: I know two guys got more money after the season, guys, and those are the two big names and our two big starters that have went into the portal. Okay. I know that there was more money given to Downs, and there was more money given to Bond. Proctor, guys, is homesick. He's homesick.
Yep.
And lovesick. And what I was telling you about me staying, X, listen to how crazy love can sometimes be. I got married my red shirt freshman year. I almost transferred after my true freshman year to Jacksonville State. Why? Because that's where my baby was. That's where my lady was. She was there, and I almost transferred there. But I looked at it, we talked through it, and I made the decision to stay here, but we still got married. Okay. And she did not move from Jacksonville. Cassandra didn't move from Jacksonville until May of the next year. We saw each other on the weekends, and we were able to be a couple, and it helped appease it. So I get the lovesick guy and going back to Iowa and going back home and all that. And Jacksonville was only 30 minutes from where I grew up, type of thing. So I get that. So I'm putting him in a different category. But either way, X, these guys, they have to do what they think's best. I just don't know how much advice they're getting, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And until Caleb goes, I say he may be shopping. He may be testing the water. I don't know. But to come out and say he's leaving because of coaching instability, well, didn't Georgia just hire their coach too? I mean, we have a head coach. We have a DC. We have his position hired. And his position, you may not know the coach. You can say uncomfortable with the new coaching staff. But to use coaching instability in a coaching transition? Come on now. There's a lot more likelihood that you were going to have this happen or Saban retired than you are to have a different coach for your next 2 years. Anyway, what's your thoughts, man?
No, I mean, you're 100% correct on it. And as you said, when you're talking about what's going on, who knows if T-Rob doesn't get a head coaching job after proving it as a DC at Georgia. Who says Greg Schumann doesn't get a head coaching job after this year? He's been the DC for a few years now. He might be in position for a head coaching job.
Schumann may get a job before this year's over.
Correct, depending on the movement that's going on, especially with the rumors of Harbaugh leaving, Kelly potentially taking the Michigan job.
Do you look at Schumann? Do you look at Schumann potentially at LSU?
That's a potential thing.
Absolutely.
But not just that. The other school that he's rumored to be attached to is Ohio State. Let Ryan Day mess around and lose to Michigan again this year. He'll be 0-4. You think they're going to keep him around? Probably not.
So there we go. It's so much that we can get to. There's a couple questions out there. Has it been confirmed that Bama is going to run a 4-2-5 defense? No, that hasn't been confirmed, and I don't think they will. I think they'll run some version. I don't know that the way they play defense right now. At times, Alabama was in a 4-2-5. Okay, we would take out, and put, the defense. I mean, outside linebacker hand in the dirt. We'd have 3 down linemen in. You'd have, 2 linebackers left. We just would use guys like Will Anderson and Dallas Turner or Braswell as that defensive end. So then we'd have 5 DBs in. We call it a dime out of a 3-4, but it was really probably a 4-2-5. The thing of it is, we're gonna let's go ahead and get the break because we got a couple callers we want to get to. X, we'll deal with some roster management, but coming back, guys, I'm telling you, I am. Bama is bigger than any player. Fans, y'all keep complaining. Now I'm chastising y'all, just so you know, fans and listeners. Y'all keep complaining about the portal, but your attitude about these players is what makes them think that they are so much even more valuable in what you do. Because all I've heard Alabama do is, oh my God, the most important thing for DeBoer to do is to keep Caleb down. Pooey on that. No, it's not. The most important thing for Caleb DeBoer to do is, I'll tell you on the other side. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep it rolling.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The start to this Thursday morning drive is really quiet, which are always the word you want to hear. We're underway with no big accident to breakdowns, no heavy interstate backups on the board either. You're moving along at posted speeds on 2059 from Foster's out to Cottondale, and the drive on McFarland Boulevard from Coker down to the I-20 interchange. You're moving nicely there as well, with no big problems along the way. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Townsend Nissan Super Sale is underway right now with instant savings from $2,000 to $10,000 on most in-stock units. No reasonable offer refused. Shop Townsend Nissan today.
My caretaker was very rough with me. I thought they did it because I wasn't moving fast enough.
Elder abuse is a crime, and together we can stop it. If you or someone you know has been abused, neglected, or exploited, call the Adult Abuse Hotline at 1-800-458-7214. That's 1-800-458-7214. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, the Department of Justice, ADECA grant number 18 VA VS 050, the ABA, and this station.
A lot of Kanoli's energy started to bounce back.
She has a lot of puppy moments, and she'll be 14 this summer.
What did these dog parents do for their dogs? They switched to Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food made by Dr. Marty Goldstein, a veterinarian Forbes magazine called the Miracle Worker. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free full-size bag of Tilly's Treasures dog treats. They're best-selling beef liver dog treats while supplies last. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or shop in over 2,000 stores nationwide. Use the store locator to find the store closest to you. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Ron White, live.
If your eyes go bad, you can have LASIK surgery and they can give you 20/20 vision. But let me tell you something, folks. You can't fix stupid.
Saturday, February 24th, 8 p.m., Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. On sale now at pearlriverresort.com. For mature audiences.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The sky mostly cloudy today. The chance of some light rain this afternoon and tonight. The high today 45, tonight's low 32. Tomorrow clearing, breezy and colder, the high 38. Very cold on Saturday, the sky sunny, the high at 30. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 21 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Titan that's rising on just you watch. I'm stepping into fate. There is no time to waste. I've got that lightning inside me. This is how legends are made.
When I listen to that song, man, it kind of gets me excited. X, as I listen to that song, this is how legends are made. I get a little excited because there's some guys that get it. There's some guys that get it. And Bama fans, I want you all to start thinking the same way. As you call shows out there, as you talk about this team, stop talking about we have to keep guys like Caleb Downs if he wants to go. Stop talking about we have to. Like the number one thing we need to do is keep Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is a really awesome freshman, unbelievable All-American football player. But if the University of Alabama is down to we have to keep an Isaiah Bond and a Caleb Downs, we in trouble anyway. At this point, if losing one or both of those guys makes that big a difference, we're in trouble. And if we can't get better at the left tackle than what's his name was, we're in trouble. The only guy that I say that we may not have a better player in his position of the ones that's left in the portal, where I say we probably will not have a guy that will impact the game the way that Caleb Downs did. I think we'll have better wide receivers than what Isaiah Bond. We can replace him. We can definitely replace our left tackle. But here's what the coach said, and y'all need to get on board with it. Whoever transfers, transfers. The players that stay have a chance to become Alabama football legends in helping start this new era. Devontae Smith said, any of these cats that are thinking about leaving need to meet with him immediately. And if they still want to leave, we don't need them. One more. Let me get one more before I get to the Fantastic Four. Playing for Coach Saban had always been a dream of mine. This is Tyler Booker speaking. I'm forever grateful for him making an impact on my life. I look forward to carrying on the culture, the traditions, and the standards that has been made at Alabama. I'm very excited to kick off this new era. We also know that he said, my legacy is that I get to be a leader on this team in this era of transition, and no dollar amount can buy my legacy. So I present to you today the Fantastic Four. Y'all help me just get this out there. Just the Fantastic Four. Jalen Milroe. That's pretty good. Lawson. Deontay Lawson. Malachi Moore. And Tyler Booker, the Fantastic Four. Said, we've embraced the change and as a group want to finish what we started. Roll Tide, baby. The Fantastic Four. My post last night, Xavier said, DeBoer and the Fantastic Four. I'm riding with those guys. I ain't worried about the guys leaving. Bama's bigger than those guys that's leaving. Let them go. Your thoughts before we bring in a couple callers that want to comment.
I 100% love the attitude and the mentality that these guys are coming with. Be different. Be different. And that's what these guys are doing at the end of the day. They're taking a stand and saying, we're going to continue what was started while creating something new. And you can't fault a young man with that mentality.
Absolutely not. And hey, listen, I wish every one of them, like I said, I don't begrudge any of them. Running from South Carolina. You're in on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. What you got for us, man?
Thank you, Martin, for taking my call. Does the transfer portal open before or after spring practice for Bama to get players?
It's
after.
It's after. Now the portal, they can still get players now.
But I mean,
there are players still in the portal.
There's portals in the play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They can get players now. Like the portal.
Okay.
People sometimes confuse it. The portal is closed for players to enter, not leave.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was just concerned with the new coaching staff if they can't, fill those slots before spring practice. I just feel like it's going to put them behind the 8 ball, kind of.
Well,
So, Ronnie, the way it works is this: that the portal closed the Saturday night, Sunday morning before the national championship game for players to enter. Once Coach Saban retired, Alabama's opened back up for 30 days, and then that has started a domino effect, and that Bama's open, Washington's open, Arizona's open. If Harbaugh leaves, Michigan's will open. If Brian Kelly were to leave LSU and go to Michigan, LSU's would open, but they're only open for 30 days. So Bama is 22 days from their portal closing again.
Okay. Well, I thank you guys for your show, but I just want to say also I've got full confidence in our coaching staff, and he did what he did with the lesser talent in Washington, and I've got confidence that he will keep Bama on top. So I appreciate y'all show and let me call. Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thanks. All right. Robert Robert from Mobile, you're in on the Alabama One hotline with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind?
Hey guys.
Hey now.
Well, definitely been an interesting couple of months, hasn't it? It was the highs and lows and that.
It has.
I just don't like the idea of people thinking that there's a right and wrong here as far as players go and leaving and not leaving, or there's a good and evil that you're doing. If you decide to leave, it's just one decision versus another decision. If Isaiah Bond chooses to leave, he's got an opportunity. He's not doing anything illegal, and he's not betraying anybody. That's a decision he chooses to make that we probably wouldn't make, or maybe we would. So I don't like the idea of people. I've heard other call shows and online. People are kind of saying he's a traitor or blah and that kind of stuff. And it's a decision he chose to make that you probably wouldn't have made. But he's not doing anything evil or wrong. Right. And the same thing with Down. Even if they took it for the so-called bag money, it's still a choice you wouldn't have made that he chose to make. It's not evil, not illegal. God didn't come down on high and say, "Thou shalt not leave University of Alabama when Nick Saban retire." So therefore, you cannot say what they're doing is evil. It's just a choice they made that you think you wouldn't have. That's it. And like you said, we have to get to this mindset to where, hey, the school has to go on and the game has to go on despite having certain players. They got to make the game, like you just said, bigger. The team has to be bigger than a few players, because you don't know if you'll keep those guys for 4 years. So you better not get that. So I get mindset. I guess they better start leaving our heads. It was great to get attached to the Derrick Henry and the Jalen Hurtses and the Tuas, but that may be not to be the case going into the future. So yeah, they can up and leave, and don't think ill of them if they do up and leave. That's a decision they made that you probably wouldn't have made. But
or may would have.
I think we have to take it.
Yeah, X, what you got to say?
No, I mean that's what it is. It's not. It's nothing wrong with what they're doing. But as an Alabama fan, you don't like it, and that's just kind of what it is at the end of the day. And one thing I'll say is, Bama fans, don't get on social media dogging out these kids that are deciding to leave, that think there's a better opportunity for them somewhere else, because all you're doing is showing these kids that are decommitting, that are in the 2025 class, oh, well, why would I want to go there if it doesn't work out for me? Because all they're going to do is trash me. I've seen it too many times. Everybody loves Caleb Downs. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen people repost, well, I can't believe you got ran over by a 2-star running back against South Florida. You think you're helping if there's an opportunity for him to come back when you're posting that within an hour of him leaving? No.
Yeah. Robert, you got anything else?
The demon forces. Yeah, social media is one of the demon forces of society right now, as we all as we well know.
Here's my question to you. They're not doing anything evil, but what's happening is against the rules, and that's why I can't understand how the NCAA chose to punish Florida State because a coach set up a meeting. Explain to me how a kid can go into a portal and say, "Do not contact me."
They supposedly contacted them.
How can I go into the portal and have a message that says, "Do not contact me," if the portal is when the contacting is supposed to begin? These kids, and I'm not talking about just Alabama kids. I'm talking about the system. These kids are going into the
last year.
These kids, huh?
Tyler Buckner did it last year.
These kids are going into the portal, Robert. And the way it's supposed to happen is no coach is supposed to tamper, call, contact, or anything a kid until they go into the portal. Okay. But the kids are going into the portal with "Do not contact me." Why? Because they already know where their offer is and where they're going when they go into the portal. Because if I can't contact you, how do you know I'm interested in you coming to my school? So you're right that I like I said, I don't begrudge the players at all. I begrudge the adults, the coaches who are complaining about NIL, Robert, the coaches who are complaining about NIL, and the NCAA. These players do not control this system, but they're flat out taking full advantage of it. This is what the players, what we're feeling as fans, is what the kids have felt as players when coaches have left. No one's talking about right now, and like I said, Alabama fans, you better get on board with the guys who are still here, because the worst thing we can do is be out here talking about the guys we have to keep, and then you got like the Fantastic Four, Robert, that we're not saying. We should be posting this post that I posted should be everywhere on every Alabama fan page. You should be finding out these guys, following them, saying, thank you, man. We appreciate you as a Bama fan. Instead of out here talking about, hey, well, Caleb Downs stinks and stuff in the money man. Because what are we going to say when the Washington center comes to Alabama? What are we going to say when the cornerback comes to Alabama from Washington? What are we going to say if we get a big left tackle from Michigan or from LSU if they go into the portal? We're going to say those guys are great and they want to come play for Bama. It can't be both ways, fans. The problem isn't the players. The problem is the system that does not. Here's my frustration, Robert, with this whole thing. Players have gotten money, and then they did not honor what they got. Okay? Let's be real. I know a player that got reportedly, let me say this, reportedly got over $1 million to come to play for Bama. So we broke the rule, in truth, because it's not supposed to be pay for play. Robert? Now, did we give that to him? Did we give that to him for 1 year? 3 years? Until there's some type of guideline around, if you get something in NIL and you do not fulfill your services, because they're only supposed to get money, by the way, people, they're only supposed to get money if there's a service offered. And it can't be them playing. I want to see where these guys are earning this money. I'm not talking about Alabama. I'm talking about period. And the problem isn't the players. Robert, to your point, you said he's making a decision that we probably wouldn't make. I don't know that we would make that decision. Robert, you work right now, right? You have a good job?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. If somebody came and all of a sudden, because you were really good at your job and offered to more than maybe give you money that if you work for the next 2 years, you really could be set for the rest of your life and never have to work again if you use that money correctly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, somebody say probably wouldn't make, because, these people saying it's nonsense. It's like, dude, you think you wouldn't make that same decision? But since I don't know, I'd say you probably wouldn't make.
Hey, Robert, let me say this. Let me say this, and this is going to upset a lot of people. What we're finding out is Nick Saban as a coach had a lot of pull, but he had not embraced NIL.
Well, it was way different from what he was.
Let me say it a different way. The way he was doing NIL versus everybody else, the reason you see these kids playing, these kids were willing to play for Saban for a couple $1,000s a month. Okay? These other schools, the top players are getting $750, $1 million. Okay? And Bam Bam 72 said, we love the portal when we got Jameis Winston Williams. I mean, you see what I'm saying? We can't have it both ways. So what you have to do, is, and I got to get the break, Robert, I'm sorry. We have to go all in on the Fantastic Four. We have got to start talking up. The University of Alabama, to me, is dropping the ball. They should have these guys on every media source, everywhere out there, so that these young players, these recruits, would see the leaders going, we're going to run this thing back. That's what's disappointing to me as a former player, and I think Alfonso Taylor even said it, is they were one game from playing for a national title, and instead of sticking around to run it back, they're jumping ship. You know how great the legend would be if this team transitioned. The guys who stick around, if Alabama somehow, some way get to a national title game and win it next year, you know how legendary these guys are going to be coming off of a Nick Saban era? They will be legendary. They will have their NIL will go through the roof. Anyway, I got to get the break, man. Appreciate you, Robert.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Anjali.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just got an alert for a strange charge on my card.
No problem. We make sure you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases on your Discover card. Let's see. Did you purchase something from a t-shirt cannon store yesterday?
Absolutely not. No, I already have like 3.
$0 fraud liability guarantee. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
And it's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us. The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
Did you know that 90% of the lawyers you see or hear advertised aren't even in Alabama? Just think about that. I used this guy, Stephen Mesrano, twice because he did what no other lawyers could do. He won for me, and he can win for you. Mez wins.
Thanks, guys. I'm attorney Stephen Mesrano, and I win. Call me, 205-800-8000, and let me fight for you. And when you call, you'll actually talk to me. 205-800-8000. I've got this.
No representations made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. I'm on the train of I'm just gonna start shouting out the guys that's all in for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Don't begrudge those who have left. Wish them nothing but the best, unless they play us. Good luck to them, and made the decisions that they made change their future, their fortune, and their family. But someone just pointed out to me that we need to also throw Jayden Roberts into the conversation and call it the Fabulous Five. Hey, man, that's not as cute as Deborah and the Fantastic Four. I mean, that's a rhyme thing right there, X. I mean, no, seriously. But Jayden Roberts is on it. But this was something that came out, as they said, and as a group, and put him in that. We want to finish what we started. And Jayden Roberts, to me, is a game changer, has the right mindset and attitude. And what I love most, X, is you got the best 2 linemen that was on this team was 52 and 77.
Yeah.
And they're gonna anchor the center of that line, and we're gonna be good. We'll get an upgrade from Proctor. I mean, Proctor probably should have not been starting. I think that was promises in several callers, viewers yesterday mentioned that was a problem, that Saban had got to the point where we were potentially playing guys out of loyalty and promises versus out of who was the best. So we'll see what happens with that. We got a caller we want to get to. Go ahead.
And real quick before that, you talked about the legacy these guys could create for themselves if they were to come out and win a national championship, if that was possible. Like, they have no better example, even though y'all's y'all created a legacy in '92 for being the first national championship after Coach Bryant. And then that legacy over time compounded being the only national championship between the two GOATs of college football. That 1992 team will always have a special place in Alabama history. And that is something these guys are potentially missing out on what this 2024 team can be.
Absolutely. Armando Fuqua says, how do you feel Coach Huff, the O-line coach, will improve the O-line play, or will the offensive coordinator play calling be a big factor in improving the O-line play? Yes and yes. It'll be both and, Armando, without a doubt, because you saw when what's his name used the right play calling and move the quarterback. If you use draw screens, etc., play calling helps. But I also think just the offensive line will be better. And I'm going to tell you, guys, don't think that Proctor. What was Proctor's biggest weakness, X? Pass blocking.
Size, the pass blocking.
Yeah, just pass blocking, right? Well, what do you think he's going to have to do more of? We don't need a Proctor in this new offense. We need a more athletic guy. We need a guy who has good feet. We need a guy who have good feet. We need a guy who can move. We need a guy who can roll out with the quarterback or shift with the quarterback. All of the things that he struggled with. So, there's a there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people saying that it's all about money, etc. And that's and it is money, and I'm talking about the money coming in. Alabama, and I'm gonna tell you, Nick Saban said this before I bring in on Joey and Kenny. Nick Saban said this. He begged for Alabama people to start giving to the collective and to NIL, because he said he was getting out recruited, etc., and we needed more money. Okay, well, that's come back to bite us a little bit now, and some of that was Alabama arrogance. X, I know that there were people who said, "Why should I give money to NIL for people to come to Bama?" Well, you didn't have to necessarily ante up when it was Saban, but we may have to as a fan base and as big boosters with the new coach, because he doesn't, until he proves himself. If he wins a couple years, he'll have the same lure that Saban had, but he doesn't have that street cred yet. So, yeah, Saban warned us. We'll talk about it. J45 on the app said, if T-Rob is so good, why didn't Saban hire him over Steele, is what I want to know. I don't think T-Rob. I think T-Rob. I even talked to a Georgia fan yesterday, X, and he literally said that he thinks that T-Rob stayed in Georgia because he knows he's not ready to be a DC. I mean, this was a Georgia fan that understands that T-Rob is over there because he's a great recruiter, not a great X's and O guy, and this gives him a chance to learn. Yep. So, Joey in Tuscaloosa, what you got for us, man?
Well, Martin, I've got to. I mean, in my own feelings, I think. Not just age with Coach Saban leaving, but I think in my mind there was something else, and it's not the NIL, although he didn't like it. I think it's actually the portal. I think he left the NFL because he told the general manager, I want this player. And the general manager says, we don't care who you want. We'll give you the players, and you better win with who we give you.
Right. And I'm glad. Hey, by the way, Joey, I'm glad they did that.
Right.
I'm glad that general manager didn't get him Drew Brees, and he ended up with Culpepper. Not knocking Culpepper, but he was no Drew Brees, and he got hurt. So thank you, whoever the general manager was at that time. But yeah, I think it's a combination of it. But if you listen to what he said, this staff that we have right now is better than the staff we had last year. Okay? Think about, we ended up with our coordinators being Kevin Steele and Tommy Reese, guys that nobody else was trying to hire at that time. Okay? He couldn't get Grubb to come. He couldn't enjoy it, whether you know this or not. You know, Saban was on the phone trying to hire a coach from interviewing a coach from Tennessee the day he retired. Did you know that?
I didn't know that one.
Listen, I'm
About
telling
10
you,
minutes before he told his players.
I don't know. It was. I don't know when he had several calls, and I think he had got the word that Bo Davis wasn't coming, and I think he knew. Listen to what he said, guys. I want y'all to listen to what he said to Reese Davis. He said, I had to spend so much time on the defensive side of the ball that I probably didn't give the attention to the other areas that I needed to. Well, what were the other areas? Offense. What did we complain about all year? Off and on. Offense, right?
I'm going further. I'm saying team discipline. There may be some things going on in the background, but he couldn't control them because of the Wild West free agency. The players could say, I don't care what you say, coach. You either play me or I'm gone.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. But if he had a great coaching staff, remember, the reason we're losing players now is that he left and the stability of him leaving. Well, if he has a Bo Davis coming to coach here, then if you're a defensive lineman, you locked in. If I like T-Rob, remember, guys chose to stay before Saban left. Don't forget that. I mean, I know these guys went back into the portal, but Caleb Downs had chosen to stay when Saban was the head coach. Bond had chosen to stay when Saban was the head coach. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't just that he can convince players to stay. He couldn't convince coaches to come because he said they asked him, Coach, why would I come to Alabama and you're going to be gone in a year or two when I can go get a 5-year contract with this guy? Now, here's the beauty of it. Bo Davis went to LSU and now his coach could be gone. So that's the craziness of this whole thing. But thanks, Joey. I appreciate it. I think it was a combination, but I also think that the combination of it is the fact that you have the portal and NIL. One or both, one or the other wouldn't not be as bad. But because the NCAA implemented this with no guidelines, it has magnified it. We'll come back on the other side. We didn't even get to our true false question. We didn't get to a lot of things, but we did cover a lot. College football is broken beyond repair. True or false? NIL, portal, leadership, etc. That's a true false. We'll start that conversation on the other side, but we're also going to get Kenny's thoughts as we come back.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Our drive times are representing delay-free conditions all across the area this morning. If you're traveling along McFarland Boulevard, it's an 8-minute trip from Airport Road down to Jack Warner. It's about 8 minutes on 2059, both directions between the I-359 interchange and Skyland Boulevard, as you remain in good shape there as well. No major accidents dotting the board. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. It's cold out there. Temperatures in the low 20s all across West Alabama, and there still is some patchy ice on runways. And while most schools in the region reopen this morning, the doors of Demopolis City schools will remain closed. That's due to the low water pressure caused by nearly drained water tanks. Greene County and Walker County schools are doing virtual learning today, while Jasper City schools are closed. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. It's free throughout the day. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Weekday mornings at 6 a.m. The Martin Houston Show.
Tune to the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports, for more conversation regarding Alabama and what's next for the Alabama Crimson Tide under Coach Kalen DeBoer. Like or love what he's done so far. We'll talk about that, as well as we'll look at Bama versus Tennessee
on the hardwood. Those conversations and more on a Free For All Friday on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Catch the Martin Houston Show from 6 to 7 weekday mornings on Tide 100.9.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Temperatures may be falling, but winnings are on the rise at Pearl River Resort. Join us on Fridays and Saturdays during our $120,000 Frozen Fortunes and win up to $3,000 cash. From 7 to 11 p.m., we'll draw a winner every hour for cash and bonus bet prizes. Make plans to visit Pearl River Resort to win your share of $120,000. Must be 21 or older to play.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Ooh, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. I may go a few minutes longer today, but yeah, we got a true-false question that we may have to answer on tomorrow. College football is broken beyond repair, NIL, portal, leadership, etc. Is that the case? I need more time, but I don't have it. So let's get to Kenny. Kenny, thanks for your patience. You're in on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm blessed. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. That's a fact.
Hey, I'm on board, Kenny. I'm on board with Coach DeBoer and the Fantastic Four, or the Fabulous Five, whatever we want to call them. I'm rolling with the Tide and my guys, man. If we lose somebody, let them go.
I think it's an incredible hire. I think it's a great. I think it was a good time for Coach Saban to step away based on how everything's going. But this whole situation with the NIL and the portal, the only issue that I have is when players come out and cite things like relationships and this and that. And let's take, a Caleb Downs or an Isaiah Bond, for instance, well, I came to Alabama for Nick Saban and now he's retired, so I'm not going to be able to play for him. Well, you're not going to be able to play for him at Texas or Georgia either. On top of the fact, you're hanging up roughly 80 teammates to go play with a whole new team that you don't know either. So that's kind of the issue that I run into. I don't really have a problem with players transferring. I specifically don't have a problem with players transferring for playing time if they're buried on the depth chart, like an Antonio Kite or somebody of that nature. But you're talking about starters that you were going to be the starter when you came back.
Hey, let me watch this, Kenny. And man, you just brought up something that's really a great insight. But let me ask you a question real quick. How much do you think the Gravedigger would have been worth to Isaiah Bond? He's 20 years old now. In the next 30 years, when he turns a century, how much money do you think he would have made off of the Gravedigger? Just let that.
But now it's worthless.
But no, I'm saying how much? Yeah, right. How much would he? He was a legend already.
Correct.
Who could have? Think about this. Who could have built off of that? See, like all of us, like when I got put in the Daniel Moore print, I was through playing for Alabama. And it still benefited me.
This was his sophomore year.
Yeah, and it still benefited me. Okay? And
Correct.
I couldn't make money. He could have commissioned, I said this yesterday, he could have commissioned his own print, Kenny.
Oh, I agree.
100%. That he could.
Jalen Milroe is going to be the one to really benefit now.
Well, they may have to repaint that thing though, because you have to emphasize Jalen, not the catch. You have to emphasize the throw and everything, but you can't emphasize the catch, because I think people will hate the print just because it's focused, it's highlighting him maybe too much. I don't know how they do it, but hopefully Jalen does benefit. Jalen should commission a print where the artist paint from behind him. That makes sense.
Oh, that would be like a quarterback view. Yeah.
Yeah, from the quarterback's eyes. That's what people aren't doing, Kenny. They ain't teaching these kids what NIL really is. These kids don't understand.
Yeah,
they're making decisions on pay for play, but they're not going to have ongoing income. In other words, that Lamborghini, when that lease is up, he's getting that for 1 year. It sounds like a lot, but he's gone next year. And another kid from Texas is getting that Lamborghini.
The other side to it is, the whole situation is kind of lopsided, because if you're going to use NIL, they need to put a cap on certain things, because the Texases of the world is going to ruin the sport.
Well, what they need to do is they need to go ahead and make it like free agency in the NFL. The portal and NIL needs to be set up the same way free agency is in the NFL. You only have a certain time that you can do it. You only have and there's money around it and all of that. If the players and the coaches and all this want to make them employees, let's treat them like employees. That play ball for your school. Man, we don't have enough time. For those of you who are huh?
Never mind. Pat, please call back in tomorrow. I want to address that.
Okay, yeah, Pat called back tomorrow. We lost Pat, just ran out of time. Apologize for that. But we'll be back tomorrow, Free for All Friday. So Pat, please bring that up on tomorrow. Hey, I'm going to hang around just for a few minutes afterwards and say a couple things. For those of you who are on the radio airwaves, we thank you for tuning in. Roll Tide out there on 1230 AM WTBC and Tide 100.9. For those of you who are tuned to the live stream, we'll do a little OT today. For just a few minutes. So we'll be back in just a moment. So stay tuned right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports, Tide 100.9, 1230 AM on the radio dial. And then, of course, broadcasting on the Martin Houston Sports Network. Roll Tide. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, guys, welcome back in. X and he had to get out of here as well. But listen, I get our frustration with the kids who are leaving, but I cannot say it enough. We need to make sure that we keep the right mindset. And I'm not going to address the true false. I'm going to go ahead and take that question down since we had started that question on the regular broadcast of the show. But let's get to a couple of these chat questions that you guys have brought up. Ted Turner said, things look so bad because we can't go get anyone to replace them until April. We may lose some more players then when they realize they will not start. And that's always a possibility. Remember, some of the freshmen are already in on campus, so they're not gonna be what, they're going to be already bought into the program, hopefully, and bought in. Ted, we actually can get some guys out of the portal. We still have a chance, and there's still some guys, just like our guys are still going out committing. You can pull guys out of the portal, and it don't have to be just the guys whose coaches have left. That just opens up for more guys to enter the portal. So if you're looking at the portal, there may be some players already in the portal right now that we would like to have as part of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we didn't have room for them before these guys left. So we may be able to get a receiver or two that may have went into the portal, or an offensive lineman that was in the portal that could be an upgrade for Alabama over Proctor. I don't know that you can upgrade from the year that Caleb Downs had, but you can cover that and have a guy who can contribute at a high level. So that's the hope. And then you'll have another opportunity for guys to come in the spring after spring ball. But you'll also, as you said, Ted, have some guys that very well may leave. See, another question we had, D. Williams said they also talked about the brotherhood they had. They only cared about the name of playing. They only cared about the name of playing for Bama. I'm assuming he's talking about the Fabulous Four or Fabulous Five or Fantastic Four, whichever way we end up going with that. This is a tough time for college football. But it's also a good time. Hopefully, coming out of this, we're gonna see college football get better. I know a lot of people say, "Well, it can't get better. It can't get better." It's not. NIL is not the problem. The portal is not the problem. Leadership is the problem. And what I mean by that is, if you had put in a rule that said that you would enforce the NIL where guys are getting money to come play instead of NIL is supposed to be about name, image, and likeness, and about brands and about endorsements and things like that. I want to know what these players are doing in exchange for this money. Are you all seeing players doing a lot of things in exchange for the money? I see a few commercials. I see a few posts. But as a whole, I don't see guys being, doing a service in return for what they're getting, because that's not what they're doing. But that's what it was supposed to be done. And unfortunately, when things like that happen, somebody has to come in and wrangle it in. And the silence, think about this, the silence from the NCAA and from the commissioners, even guys like Greg Sankey, they're silent. They're not speaking out. How is it that Sankey all of a sudden, makes this public reprimand for Nate Oates, which he was wrong. Nate Oates, a coach, should never put his hands on a player, period, guys. That could have gotten really, really bad. But, boy, the SEC was on that thing. But yet they're not saying anything about this whole tampering thing that's been going on with recruiting. And I'm not talking about just with Alabama. I'm talking about throughout. And everybody's saying, well, Alabama, you're just crying because it's happening to you. Well, we have to talk about it because it's happening to us. When you look at this, unfortunately, guys, what's happening now is the curtain has been pulled back. The top players have always been getting what we're seeing. The top players have always been getting what we're seeing. Let's be real. College pay for play has happened for years. It just wasn't public. We just didn't know about it. There are guys that I can go back and tell you that chose here or chose other schools in times past because they were under the table deals. But it was only the top elite guys that were getting that, and it was never made public. So guys have been choosing schools for, if we want to say they're choosing it for money, for years. But everybody that tries to say that Nick Saban left because everybody else can now start paying players, everybody else has been paying players. Nick Saban just was able to convince guys to come here for a discount, and we see that now. Nick Saban has been able to convince guys to come here because they had a carrot out in front of them called the NFL that would change their family's financial future and their financial future. Well, now that carrot has been weakened or cut in half because guys can now make $2, $3, $4 million. Or if it's true what they said, the kid up in Tennessee is making $2 million a year. So he has an $8 million deal. If he's a bust, he still has made enough money that his life is forever changed. So this is not new. It's just that we now get to see behind the curtain, or as my boss, CEO at Alabama once says, we're getting to see how the sausage has been being made, and it's nasty, and we don't like it. If we don't change talking about the fans, if we keep going and supporting and all of this, and we don't call for change from our coaches, from our leadership, and from the commissioners and NCAA, it is on its way to getting to a point where it can't be repaired. So we'll talk more about that on tomorrow. Guys, I think Alabama is in a good place. I mean, Timothy Robertson said something that I want to address before, and I'll talk more about it tomorrow. But he asked the question. He said that no doubt that this staff is an upgrade. This staff with Saban would go undefeated. This may seem blasphemous. Okay, if Saban is tired and this year was a grind and his staff was worse, is it possible that DeBoer could do more than what Saban would have next year? I mean, is that a possibility? I just want you. I'm not saying that's the case yet, but I'm starting to noodle on the fact that DeBoer is a better X's and O guy than Saban. In my opinion, that's Martin's opinion. He's more of an offensive-minded guy. If he can get a defense that can play at the level we've played at in the past, in this past year, that level or higher, I think our offense goes up even more. And we can create some more separation. Think about the games we lost. The games we lost this year, how many points did we score? Truth of the matter is, defense didn't play great, and defense gave up key moments against Michigan and against Texas. But how many points did both of those teams really score over the course of the game? Michigan got 27 if you include overtime. DeBoer should get us above that 20-point mark with his offense. And if our defense is holding teams to 20, 25 or less a game, then maybe DeBoer can get us over the hump even into that elite category that we've become accustomed to. So I'm excited about what he's doing with the staff. I'm excited about what he brings to the table as a coach and as a person. There's one characteristic of his personality that I can't wait to see. And I'm not saying that this isn't the case. One of his longtime associates and people when was being interviewed, they talked about they've never heard the guy say a cuss word. That's impressive for a coach. And there's a culture over at Alabama where they cussed each other, cussed the coaches, et cetera, et cetera. Some guys can't even handle that. And I know that may not be a big deal to some, but to others, he may be changing the culture there. And some of those guys may be like, hey, man, I don't want to be a part of this type of culture. So there's so many things that go into it. But I love the standard. I love the culture. I love the fact that he's shown that he can go in and make changes quick and establish quick. I had an Auburn fan yesterday tell me, try to compare DeBoer to Harsin. He said Harsin had a better win record than he did. Well, Harsin took over Boise, who was the elite program of the group of five. He didn't improve off of what he got. His winning percentage went down. DeBoer took over a Washington team that won 4 games the year before. And in 2 years, he had him playing for a national title and beat the team that beat us earlier in the year. So I don't think it's a fair comparison to say just because he's at Washington and the percentages is the same that you can make the same analysis. I love Coach DeBoer and what he's done so far. And we're going to keep talking about that on tomorrow from a Free-for-All Friday. I appreciate all of you guys and gals that tune in on this stream. Follow Martin J. Houston 35. If you tune in on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and tell your family and friends about it. If you tune in via Facebook, make sure you go to the Martin Houston page, Martin J. Houston 35, because in a couple weeks, that's where we'll be broadcasting live. Some of you I know are tuned in right now on Tide 100.9. Right now, I know a lot of you are actually tuned in there right now. Make sure that you go to the other page so you'll be able to catch the live stream. It'll be rebroadcast on Tide 100.9, but for right now, we're going to move and consolidate so I can do a better job of communicating, staying connected with you guys. I appreciate all the questions and the comments that you guys bring up. As I go out of here, Wendy 6 says the state of Alabama has more restrictions and regulations on NIL than any other state. Other states don't have these restrictions or are openly using it for recruiting. You can't just throw money in at Alabama. She nails it. That is so true. MHSO 407 says, I think Bond received a lease 2024 Lambo worth about $250 and some change. That is right. That is totally true. From what I've heard. Todd Cagle said, do SEC players have to sit a year where the coach hasn't left? You get one free transfer, and then the next time you transfer, you're supposed to sit out. We'll see. Man, Curtis Moore, you bringing up a lost name right there. Maybe a Tony Mitchell, perhaps at safety. That could be. And this guy coming out was supposed to be Caleb Downs before Caleb Downs showed up. So we'll see what happens with him. Let me see. Ronnie Rutherford, need max dollars for all positions, equal for all teams across college football. Yeah, there needs to be some governance there, Ronnie, in terms of what happens to college football. CJ Watson said, I know Saban is staying close to the program. What I would like for him to spearhead the right kind of change for NIL and portal to put college football and the players in the best position possible. Do not be surprised if Nick Saban doesn't help right the ship of college football. I think he will play a key role there. Josiah Davenport said a lot of people have left because of the portal. I'm not worried. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great talent on Alabama's roster. This will be Coach DeBoer's most talented team he's ever coached. No matter what, no matter how many guys leave and how many guys stay, this will be his most talented roster. If he's able to raise the level that he used, this team will be more talented, not necessarily better, but will be more talented than Washington's roster that made it to the Final Four. Now, we got a different road to go because we're going through the SEC, but we have more talent, and he's putting together a great staff. MHSO 407 says Greg Sankey would not allow Bo Davis come back to Bama, but he allows him to LSU. I think part of the reason Bo Davis was able to go to LSU is because Texas is now part of the SEC, so he was already in the SEC. But you're right, he did block him from coming back to Alabama several times. Tom Sweeney says, if Saban is helping with recruits and players, how come we got 40 gone or in the portal? I think that because things change. Don't forget, when you hear these numbers, some of these guys that are gone are not all portal guys. Some of these are guys that are graduating. Some of these guys are guys that didn't play. So don't let the number completely fool you. Go back and look at the guys who were gonna play, and then ultimately who we get. Tommy, here's the frustration: is we don't know who we're gonna get to replace these guys, because right now we're not pulling guys out of the portal immediately. Some of the guys who we've lost will be replaced with better players. Some may not, but overall, Alabama's going to be able to rebuild and reposition this roster now as well as after spring ball. And I know you may say, man, that spring ball is too late. Let me explain something. We have year-round football now, but back in my day, freshmen didn't show up to campus until till the summer. They didn't show up until summer. I mean, think about that. They didn't show up until summer. So now we're going to have guys coming in that out of the portal that will have all summer to get acclimated to the team. So don't panic yet, Bama. Let's see what Coach DeBoer does out of the portal. I would almost rather him not fill up all of his spots going in the spring because of the guys who may come open later on in the portal after the spring. So we're looking at it. Tell me, the problem is he can score all the points he wants. Laugh out loud. Our defense is looking like Bama hoops. Oh man, I'm not ready to panic on the defense. We lost. Our defensive backs have to be replaced. We're gonna have. That's gonna be our chance to make the upgrade. So I'm sure I probably missed someone that had a comment. But remember, add those comments in on a regular basis. We appreciate you so much here on the Martin Houston Show. We did a little overtime to keep things rolling. I so much appreciate you. Thank you so much. Go out, follow, share, tell your family and friends about it. We do it every day, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. And every once in a while, we do a little overtime. May have to make that a regular part of the show so that I can make sure I get to everything that's coming in terms of the comments and chat and questions. But we'll be back tomorrow for a free-for-all Friday. Go ahead and follow at Martin J. Houston 35 on Facebook and or YouTube. Push it over to Facebook if you can. Appreciate you. For the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports, I say roll tide. And as I end every other show, remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll tide out to everybody.